Hello everyone, I'm Dmitry with Canucks, and I built my last AMD system 5 years ago, and that's about to change today. With the help of AMD, we set a goal to spend $1,200 and build an amazing looking and outstanding performing machine. The theme here is red, but just enough to keep things subtle, with the possibility of subtle color changes in the future. And we're calling the system the Octa Red because we fit a reasonably powerful 8-core processor into the build while remaining on budget, and I'm actually pretty excited to test out the performance for all types of gaming scenarios and also put it through the paces for, a standard editing machine that we have done with other builds. Like I said earlier, all parts come together to around $1,200, which can change with sales and discounts and whatnot. And we are using our existing Windows license, our existing peripherals, and the monitor that are not taken into the equation with the price. So finally, let's see the full blown out view of all the hardware before we begin the construction of the Octa Red machine. The main highlight of this build is an 8-core AMD FX 8370 CPU with base clock of 4 GHz and turbo up to 4.3 GHz and a TDP of 125 watts. It is a slightly older chip released in late 2014, but it still should do just fine in today's games, and it has the potential to grant added benefits in future DX12 applications. It is being housed inside an MSI 990 FXA gaming motherboard that has a couple of USB 3.1 ports, awesome killer network features, and this red and black color scheme that will complement our theme very well. To cool the CPU, we've chosen the NZXT X31 all-in-one cooler, which has a nice compact 120mm radiator that will be a perfect combination for the CPU, and we expect to be under 60 degrees Celsius at full load inside our case. We also have an 8GB G.Skill memory kit running at DDR3, 1600 MHz and dual channel mode. While it may not seem all that fast given today's super fast memory, it still has pretty tight timings and can easily be overclocked if you need extra performance. For graphics, we've got dual ASUS 380X that will be set up in Crossfire. This will be my first time gaming on dual Radeon GPUs, and I'm expecting nothing short of amazing performance from these cards. I'm especially looking forward to the silent gaming features where the fans don't spin until necessary. However, I'm a little worried about the fit as the coolers are quite bulky, especially with the added backplates, so we'll see how that turns out. Our SSD of choice is a Samsung 850 Pro 512GB, which puts a priority on getting fast load-up times for games, while also adding enough storage space for more than a few of today's games. It is more money than the standard hard drive, but investing into fast storage will make the full experience extra snappy. To power the whole system is our trusty Corsair AX760i that may seem to be a bit low wattage for this AMD Crossfire 8-core system, but actually it should do just fine. And remember that these two graphics cards are quite power efficient, so there should even be some room for overclocking the processor, and we'll cover overclocking soon in another video, so make sure to stay tuned. This is all going inside the NZXT N450 with complementing red and matte black accents, plus great front intake to deliver enough fresh air for these two GPUs. And to make sure everything fits in well with the color scheme, we have a black and red sleeved cables extensions from Cable Mod and the lovely Hue Plus lighting system from NZXT to add that secondary color to the interior of our case to make the whole build quite unique. And with every build, I begin by using the motherboard box as the platform with the anti-static bag underneath just in case. Release the socket lever and align the yellow triangle on the CPU with the triangle on the socket, carefully lowering it in place and make sure that all pins are aligned without any pressure. Remember to keep the user manual close at hand, mainly so you can look up which DIMM slots to occupy for dual channel operations. Meanwhile, the I/O shield will eventually need to be installed, so it's nice to have it close by. Installing the RAM is simple. Release the notches and lower the RAM, applying even pressure throughout until the secure peg snaps back into position. Since we are installing a cooler that requires different mounting hardware, the default mounting clips on the motherboard must be removed first, and instead these AMD specific standoffs are installed so we can lower in the X31 cooler. The thermal paste is already pre-applied on the base plate, and all we have to do is tighten the thumb screws in this X pattern to make sure that pressure is evenly applied. Now, unlike the Intel socket, which is enclosed behind the top metal cover, the AMD CPU is exposed on the sides, so make sure the lever is properly engaged before moving any further. Next, let's install the I/O plate, pop that in, and begin the assembly inside the case. I remove all the metal drive caddies at the front since we won't be using them, and just to clear up that front intake. Lowering in the motherboard, be careful and aim for the middle standoff that catches the motherboard so it's secure and you can mount the rest of the necessary screws. For our configuration, I repositioned the 140mm rear exhaust fan to the top so I can mount our radiator to the back with the fan set to pull the air through, because I wanted to maintain a level of stealth on the inside since the fan blades are white on the NZXT X31 cooler and would totally ruin the look we're going for. And I always do stock cable management first, just to make sure everything is prepped for when the power supply is mounted, which makes finishing the rest of the cables much easier. We are using sleeved extensions on a fully modular power supply to minimize cable clutter, and because of the non-removable power supply shroud inside the N450, all the cables must be pre-installed before inserting the power supply inside the case. And then I quickly map out where each of the cables has to go and insert the awesome 24-pin cable so it curves nicely from the back, and then utilize the two SSD brackets to install our Hue Plus hub and our only SSD on top of the power supply shroud for a clean and beautiful showcase. The final part for me was to install the GPUs, and this is where we ran into a bit of clearance issues. Because the cards are slightly thicker than the two PCI slots, mounting them right next to each other was not an option, so I had to remove the Hue Plus hub from its slot to have enough clearance for the GPU in the lower PCI slot in order to fit both GPUs. It's a little hiccup in an otherwise seamless assembly, but not to worry, the Hue Plus and the SSD found a tidy spot on the drive caddies. And so here's the finished system with cleaned up cables and properly installed the lighting strip on the top to highlight all the hardware in this very unique blue and white color combination. I'm very happy with the acoustics of the system as well at idle, and even though the CPU is clocked at 4 GHz, it hovers around 25 degrees Celsius at idle while never going over 60 while gaming. The Crossfire configuration follows with mid-50s in temperatures on idle, but with that totally silent operation, so that's a positive, and never breaking a sweat even at load, maxing out at 71 degrees Celsius for the hottest card. So how does it handle gaming with 1080p and everything maxed out? Pretty good actually, averaging at 87 FPS with solid minimums too, at 75 FPS in Star Wars Battlefront at the Ultra preset. Jumping into Battlefield 4, again with everything maxed out, I averaged at 93 FPS with a very rare dip into the minimums of 50 FPS. But you may be thinking, can it run Crysis? Yes. With everything set to very high, you're looking at pretty solid playable 56 FPS on average, with extra satisfying smoothness with a few settings toned down. And for conclusion, I'm very happy with how the build turned out in the end. There's that small hiccup with the dual graphics card's clearance, which made us shift a few things around, but from a physical standpoint, the temperatures and acoustics, plus rock solid gaming performance makes our Octa-Red system absolutely kick ass. So make sure to subscribe for a follow-up video that we'll be doing, going over the extra performance that we'll be trying to squeeze from the CPU, and also give you a bit more detail in our Crossfire experience altogether. I'm Dmitry with Canucks. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video.